I found the receipt folded inside his jacket pocket, and for a moment, I thought it was for me. A necklace, $800, purchased 3 days ago. My birthday was in October. This was March. My name is Claire. I'm 29, and until that Tuesday afternoon, I believed my marriage was the one thing in my life that was actually working. Daniel and I met in Portland, in a bookstore that closed years ago. We got married in a backyard with string lights and a borrowed sound system. 4 years later, we had a mortgage, a golden retriever named Pepper, and what I thought was a quiet, steady kind of love. Not loud, not dramatic, the kind you don't worry about. I almost put the receipt back. That's the part I keep thinking about. How close I came to folding it up and pretending I never saw it. But something in me had already started keeping score, weeks before I could admit it. The late nights that didn't match his calendar. The phone he started angling away from me at dinner. The way he'd laugh at texts and then say, "It's just Marcus," without me asking. So instead of confronting him, I did something I never thought I'd do. I waited. I watched the way he checked his phone at exactly 9:15 every night, like a habit he didn't know he had. I noticed he'd started taking the dog on longer walks alone. I noticed he showered before bed on nights he said he'd worked from the office when he never used to. None of it was proof. All of it was a pattern. 3 weeks after I found the receipt, I was going through his laundry and found a hotel keycard in his jeans pocket. The Astor Hotel, downtown, 4 blocks from his office. I didn't say anything. I put it back exactly where I found it and went downstairs to make dinner like it was any other night. That Friday, he told me he had a work trip to Seattle. I said, "Have a good flight." I kissed him at the door. Then I called the Astor Hotel and asked very calmly if they could confirm a reservation under his name for that weekend. They could. I didn't go there. I didn't want a scene in a hotel lobby, didn't want to be the woman crying in a hallway. I wanted him to tell me himself. I wanted to see if, given the chance, he would. He came home Sunday night with a gift bag. Inside was a bottle of wine and a card that said, "For us." I looked at it for a long moment before I set it down on the counter. "How was Seattle?" I asked. "Good. Long flights, though." I nodded slowly. "Funny," I said, "because the Astor Hotel doesn't have a Seattle location. It's 4 blocks from your office." His face didn't move at first. That's the part that surprised me. Not the guilt, but how long it took to arrive. Like he was doing math, trying to find an explanation that could survive what I'd just said. There wasn't one. "Claire, don't," I said. My voice came out steadier than I expected. "I'm not asking. I already know. I just want to hear how long you were going to let me not know." He sat down at the kitchen table like his legs had given out. "It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think." I pulled out the necklace receipt from my pocket and set it next to the wine bottle. "This isn't for me. My birthday isn't for 6 months." The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard in that kitchen. He told me her name eventually. Priya, from his office, said it started as lunch, then became something neither of them planned. Said the words people always say. It didn't mean anything. It just happened. He still loved me. I let him talk. I didn't cry. Not then. I'd already cried everything out over the 3 weeks I spent watching quietly, doing math in my head at 2 a.m. "What do you want to happen now?" he finally asked. That question told me everything I needed to know. Not "I'm sorry," not "how do I fix this," just what happens to me now. "I want you to pack a bag," I said. "You can stay at your brother's until we figure out the house." "You're really doing this? Over one thing?" I looked at him for a long time before I answered. It was never one thing, Daniel. It was 3 weeks of you lying to my face every single day. It was a receipt and a key card and 100 small moments where you chose her over telling me the truth. I can survive a mistake. I can't survive being lied to on purpose, over and over, and called crazy if I ever asked why you seemed different. He didn't argue after that. Maybe because he knew I was right. Maybe because there was nothing left to say that wouldn't make it worse. He left that night with one suitcase and Pepper's leash, since the dog had always liked him best. The house felt enormous without him in it. For the first week, I kept setting 2 coffee cups out of habit before catching myself and putting one back in the cabinet. He texted a lot at first. Long messages about how much he regretted it, how Priya meant nothing, how he'd do anything to fix things. I read every one. I answered none of them. The divorce took 4 months. He didn't fight the settlement. I think some small part of him understood he didn't have the right to. People ask me now if I regret not screaming at him that night in the kitchen, not throwing the wine bottle, not making it the dramatic scene it probably deserved to be. I don't. I think the calmest moment of my life was the moment I finally stopped hoping he'd tell me the truth on his own and started finding it myself. 6 months later, I ran into Priya at a coffee shop, completely by accident. She looked at me like she expected anger. I just nodded once and kept walking. There was nothing left between us worth saying. As for Daniel, I heard he and Priya didn't last much past the divorce. It rarely does, when it starts the way theirs did. I still live in the house. I got a new dog, a scruffy little mutt named Biscuit, who does not, in fact, like Daniel best, because Daniel isn't here anymore. And some mornings, making coffee for one, I catch myself smiling. Not because I won anything, just because for the first time in a long time, nobody in my house is lying to me.